Hello, everyone, and welcome into the hospitality room presented by Mascot Media. Bobby Swofford, Blair Cartwright. It seems like it's been forever since we've had a podcast.
It
It
does.
hasn't
Last week
been, but
seemed
it
like a
seems
long
like
time
it.
ago.
Yeah, yeah. Back when the sun was out and it was
Oh,
warm, and now it's all just rain. And we're thinking about our friends in the Lake City area that were hit by the
mhm.
tornado and just these storms and the flooding. It's like all the spring showers are coming this week.
Yeah, we're paying for the fact that we didn't have spring this year. It went from winter to summer
Yes.
pretty quickly, and obviously all that hot air and the cold air with the rain coming together. It's a reminder that I'm glad I was never a meteorologist because this is their Super Bowl, but it's also got to be the most
Yes.
stressful time on their calendar.
Oh, it's crazy. I was watching the storms and just the number of storm trackers now. I mean, there used to be like two or three. Now there's
Yeah.
like 12 or 13 channels on YouTube of cats
hmm
tracking storms. I mean, it's amazing.
Yeah, well,
That
I mean,
has
technology
grown.
is technology has completely changed meteorology. I mean, no
Yes.
longer do you have to be in a studio anymore to have the biggest influence. No longer do you have to be work for a local news channel. And my good friend Garrett Lewis, who did TV news for a long time,
Mm-hmm.
and now has gone over to working for a bank for the last few years, but also does weather for his Facebook channel essentially. He's got a bigger voice now than he ever did, and he doesn't work for a news and doesn't have to listen to a dumbass general manager anymore. It's great. He's got the best of both worlds.
No, yeah. What? Dumbass general
Yeah,
managers and local television news stations?
yeah, yeah.
No, can't.
They're like cockroaches. Like literally, the world could come to an end with a nuclear apocalypse, and
Yes.
somehow he would still be there.
Yes. And they would still fire somebody to get under budget.
For sure.
It's crazy. All right, let's get to our topics as we give the shot to the general managers out there. There we go. The final four is this weekend. All
Yeah.
one seeds. Who knew?
Mm,
Half so we'll have an SEC team in the final. Florida against
yep.
Auburn, Duke and Houston. I mean, last weekend was great games. This
hmm
should be good games. Who do you like?
Yeah, I like Duke. I mean, one honestly, if I had to say who the top two teams going into the championship weekend is, I'd say Duke and Houston.
Mm-hmm.
But it's kind of
Yeah.
unfortunate they're paired against one another. Just the way those two teams have played really up the entire tournament. I mean, what Houston did against Tennessee was unreal. I mean, just smothered them. But I like Duke. Duke has done nothing but convince me that they're the best team. And what Cooper Flag and Canopel and that the rest of that team has done, and they've embarrassed everybody they've played since the tournament began. It's been really really impressive. Florida, even though they were behind double digits to Texas Tech late in that game, they found a way to win. They looked like the second most impressive team for most of the tournament. But obviously, what I said about Houston, I mean, their defense is just nasty. There's no better way to describe what they can do. And then, Auburn, Auburn's just one of those teams that, when I watch them, probably because I've seen them enough this year, they don't, to me, they're not sexy. And they were really
Mm-mm.
struggling in the Elite Eight game. And all of a sudden, they just, or it might have been the Sweet 16 game. And all of a sudden, they just go on a run just like that. And, they're down five, and all of a sudden, they're up 13. They've got that, still the word spurtability. That's not many teams can match that kind of intensity because they can turn it up in a hurry. I still think they have the worst coach of the Final Four teams. That's just the personal opinion of Bruce Pearl. But to me, I'm going to say it's Duke and Florida in the championship game, but I think Duke and Houston are the two best teams left.
I would agree with you. And Duke and Houston have been the most consistent
hmm
across the board. Florida and Auburn have, like you said, the spurt ability. They have moments where you're just like, have they ever seen a basketball before? Because they just go brain
Right.
dead for like 2 or 3 minutes. Broom's hurt, so you wonder how effective he's going to be. Florida's never been there before. Duke obviously has been there before. Houston's been there before. In fact,
hmm
those two played last year. So
Yep.
yeah, I mean, it's going to be, and everybody wants to say that Houston has an advantage playing in San Antonio. I don't know. Yeah, they might have a lot of fans there, but I don't know.
hmm
I just think yeah, that Duke Houston game should be just off the charts, which means that whoever wins Florida Auburn is probably going to win the national championship.
Yeah, more likely. Yeah, I mean, Duke Houston is going to have so much intensity. I'm glad you mentioned the fact that it's in San Antonio because, yeah, Houston's going to have a huge crowd advantage, but Duke's one of those national blue bloods. This randomly, you didn't
Mm-hmm.
know it, like one of your friends at work may be a Duke fan just because they grew up watching them. And so there's going to be plenty of Duke fans there. Obviously, the SEC is going to travel really well. Auburn to San Antonio isn't close, but they're going to have plenty of fans there, so that's not going to be an issue. But uh, to me, though, if it comes down to a final possession or two, maybe the Final Four being in San Antonio and that close to Houston could be a obvious factor in the outcome of that game.
No question. I'm looking on StubHub to see how much tickets are. 217 each. That's for a Final Four. That's surprisingly low.
Yeah, that's not bad because obviously you're buying a
You
game that
get
gets you
both
in for
games.
yeah you get both games, so
Yeah,
that's actually not that bad of a price.
yeah. Of course, I guess. Well, the most expensive one. Well, actually, I see some lower levels that are under 1,000, which is a little surprising. It's at the Alamo Dome, so
Yeah.
it's. I don't know. That's one of those tweeners. It's not a huge arena, but it's not a basketball arena either.
hmm
So
Do you
yeah,
like
that'll be
basketball
interesting.
in the big mega structures? You know, AT&T Stadium and all that.
No, I don't. I've never been a big fan of that. I liked it when the SEC tournament was in Nashville because that's an arena, like a basketball
hmm
hockey arena. You could actually
Yeah.
see the court. And when it was in Atlanta at the Georgia Dome, I went up one year and sat with my wife and her family. And you're watching and this was back before
The
video
video board.
boards were even big. You're watching the video board because there are little dots down there on the court. It's like it was insane.
hmm Yeah, I agree with you 100%. But it's all about how many people can we jam in there, and it's you buy one of those tickets to say that you were there, not necessarily because of your view.
Yes. Yes. It's all about the moolah. What a
Yep.
shock. What a shock. So, all right. So your pick is Duke.
Duke. Yep.
I picked Houston in my bracket to win, so I got to stick with the Cougars. I would
hmm
not be bummed to see Kelvin Sampson win a title.
Yeah, I agree with that. I didn't realize he was already 69 years old, creeping up on 70. So, like,
Yeah.
it would be very cool to see him win one. It
Mm-hmm.
is a little. I mean, it shouldn't be because we got the four best teams in there. It is a little disappointing that
Mm-hmm.
all the number one seeds got there.
Yeah, but it was one of those years in college basketball where there wasn't a
There,
dominant
there
team,
yeah,
but
there was a clear dividing line to me. One
yes,
through eight was so much better than everybody else.
yes, a lot of flawed teams.
Yes.
So
And one
these
through
are the
eight, in my opinion, does not mean the teams that were ranked number one and two in the tournament because St. John's was not a
yeah.
top 18.
No, they were exposed.
Realistically, it was probably another SEC school that they said, hey, we're just not going to give another top seed to.
Yeah, yeah. So
Kentucky, maybe.
yeah,
Yeah.
so yeah, we'll see. So we expect the winner to come from Duke Houston. So
hmm
we'll see if we're correct. All right, putting a wrap on Razorback basketball. Cal's first year, 22-14. 8-10 in conference. You probably thought a little more, but Sweet 16.
hmm
Kind of like Coach Broyles always said. They remember how you finish in November. Well,
Yeah.
it's in March. In basketball,
Yep.
everybody feels good now. It was a roller
hmm
coaster, but was ultimately the entire year a success?
Yeah. I think you have to say yes because of the ending. They played
Mm-hmm.
their best basketball at the end of the year, and that's what you're supposed to do. If they would have peaked in January, nobody would have been talking about them. But Arkansas back in the Sweet 16, yes, 8-10 in the SEC is not a great mark. 22-14, not a great mark. But that last line on the graphic there is really what it's about. Calipari did his best job of getting them to play well at the right time with no depth. He got them to buy in at the right time with nobody coming off the bench. You look at the game that they lost, they blow a 16-point lead, and Boogie Flan and Adu Thuro played a combined 13 minutes. I mean, so they're out there
Ineffective.
limping, yeah,
Yeah.
limping through the championship, and Big Z disappeared in mid-February. I made that joke when he entered the transfer portal. Like, well, he's been gone a month anyway. What's it matter? So they were out there with 6 serviceable players for all intents and purposes, and were playing better than anybody in the country, not named the 4 that we just talked about. I mean,
Hmm.
so it's yes, to me it was a success. If you asked people in 3 years, what about the 2024-25 team? Oh, Cal's first year made the Sweet 16. They reestablished who they were. It's going to be a success. The recency bias is going to say, no, it was probably average.
Yeah, but to think this program now, 4 Sweet 16s in 5 years.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. And remember how bad last year was a
Mm-hmm.
total dumpster fire.
Yep.
So yeah, pretty amazing. And like you said, you want to end on a high.
Mm-hmm.
If it had been reversed, like and they peaked in January, yeah, it would have been considered another dumpster fire. So
Mm-hmm.
kudos to them. That, but the bar and expectations now, I think, have been set. So
Yeah, they're going to be there regardless for Calipari and for Arkansas. The goal
yeah,
is always to be playing on the second weekend of the tournament, and he checked that box this year.
yeah, and to think they were, I mean, literally this close to making the Elite Eight with your two
Mm-hmm.
best players ineffective. And
Yep.
Thero, I mean, he played what 3 minutes? I mean, just it was a
Yeah.
cameo, and it wasn't even much of a cameo. So
Yep.
pretty amazing. Well, across the way,
Mm.
the women have a new coach. Hired the ORU coach. She's put up some wins over there. They haven't gotten the NCAA tournament, but I heard an interview with her earlier this week. I was kind of skeptical, but it sounds like she's kind of got a plan. But man, it is a total crapshoot when it comes to hiring a women's basketball coach.
If to use your terms, if she has a plan, it's the first person involved in the women's basketball program that does have a plan.
Yeah.
Because you don't fire Mike Neighbors to go hire the ORU coach. You just don't do it.
No, no. You
The
don't
track
buy him
record
out
wasn't
for
there.
that.
They lost by 31 points to Missouri State in the third level postseason tournament. Not even the
Yeah,
WNIT, the WBI, whatever that is. So
yeah,
don't tell me, oh, this was the plan all along. So to me, yeah, you can spin this any way you want if you're the University of Arkansas. They took a dumpster fire and poured diesel fuel on it. They didn't fix this. And yeah, you go out and get players. And yes, I know yesterday everybody was all excited because Lee Mayberry's daughter is transferred in. She played 6 games at Kansas this past year. Like
yeah.
and they haven't made a splash yet. And you believe the ORU standout's going to transfer in, average 18.7 rebounds. You think that's probably going to happen. But again, are they a better basketball program now with music as they were compared to Coach Neighbors, Mike Neighbors? But you can't answer that until you find out what kind of budget, what kind of resources is this program going to be given.
Exactly. They were dead last in the SEC, and if they don't step that up, they're going to stay dead last. Doesn't matter who the coach is. So
Mm-hmm.
we'll see. I'm glad they kept Amber Shiree on. She's been there a long
Mm-hmm.
time. She knows things. But
I guess the Fayetteville guy was a Bradford.
yeah, Nick
He's going to
Bradford's
stay
going
on
to
too.
stay on staff. Goldwire, I think, is going to stay on staff. But
Mm-hmm.
it's going to be. It's not a quick fix.
Well, I mean,
It's
and another thing too, with all these people staying on staff, it saves them money
oh,
because they
totally.
don't have to buy out contracts. And so, like all the things that we're talking, oh, that's a good idea. They're doing this. They're doing this. It's saving them money. So, like, she might have been told, "Hey, you're getting the job, but they're all staying because we can't afford to pay them
Yeah,
out." Um,
true.
I don't know. It's
Well,
the whole thing. It makes you think they had a plan. Maybe, obviously, somebody wrote the check to buy out Neighbors. They had a plan, and all of a
yeah,
sudden, that coach took a different job, aka took the Missouri job. And then all
yeah,
of a sudden it completely unraveled because option two didn't want to come here, had a better option at Arizona State, and
yep,
then all of a sudden you're left scrambling, and now you feel like you got to hire somebody immediately.
yeah. It'd be interesting to see what they be interesting to know what was promised and what
Mm-hmm.
actually will be delivered,
Correct.
because I don't think Harbor was ever in the mix, and she was the best coach on the market.
Mm-hmm.
Miller saw probably what the NIL was last year and said, "No, thank you." So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, we'll see. It's just yeah, it's just it's nuts.
Yep.
Well, and a plan. Well, that would be a first.
Mm-hmm.
over there. All right. Speaking of coaching changes, a lot of movement. Patino leaves New Mexico, goes to Xavier. Kevin
Mm-hmm.
Willard just napalms Maryland while he's in the Sweet 16 and ends up
Mm-hmm.
going to Villanova. You know, wondered what the hangup on that was. Buzz
Mm-hmm.
Williams leaves A&M and goes to Maryland. I don't know that that's an upgrade. Now A&M's open. They threw a ton of money at Beard. He got concessions out of Ole Miss, so he's staying in
Mm-hmm.
Oxford. A&M, I mean, do they really care about basketball? Once spring football
Yeah.
starts, it's an
Right.
afterthought.
Yeah.
So, what was the biggest move in the coaching carousel to you, or is it still
Mhm.
in progress?
Well, I mean, just because it preceded all the moves that you just mentioned, I think it's got to be Miller going to Texas. He leaves
Yeah,
Xavier, goes to
forgot.
UT,
Yes.
and then that started all these dominoes that you're talking about, affected every coach that you just mentioned. Because yes, it's a significant upgrade for him. I don't know if it's an upgrade for Texas though. I mean, they're playing against each other in the play-in game. And I get Sean Miller was the coach at Arizona, and he was right in the middle of that whole FBI scandal. Will Wade going to the NC State, I feel like he aimed a little low there. But
Yes.
we might have talked about it last week. The ACC is probably nowhere near what it has been in the past. Going to be a lot easier to be successful at NC State than it would be if he took the Texas A&M job, for example.
Oh,
So
yeah.
like, so that
Look
makes
at what
sense.
Pat
I mean,
Kelsey
Patino
did at
leaving,
Louisville. Yeah,
yeah,
in year one.
yeah. So I'll go Miller to Texas just because Texas is going to be the biggest name on that list of new coaches. But Buzz going to Maryland's one tells you exactly who Buzz is. He stays someplace 5 or 6 years and leaves fairly successful, but also leaves before he gets fired. He can kind of
Yeah.
see the writing on the wall. He knows when to get out. He's had
Yeah.
success at Texas A&M, but not enough. They're a three
Yeah.
or a four seed, but yet they fizzle out in the tournament. They start hot, but they never finish strong. So his teams have kind of run the course, if you will, in the SEC. And I think him going to the Big Ten is probably going to be a good step for him because he's going to have success for a couple of years. The foundation was already there and laid, even though he's got a new athletic director or going to have a new athletic director. And
Yeah.
it's a school that won a national title in the past, yes, but doesn't have a lot of pressure on them to win. You don't think?
Well, it's a basketball school. You do wonder if he and you mentioned the AD, and it occurred to me today. I wonder if he and Trev Alberts, because he was not Trev's hire. That is such
Mm-hmm.
a huge part of the coaching world now. We see it a lot in football. Now we're seeing it in basketball. You're not that AD's hire.
Yeah,
You're vulnerable.
you got a
Um,
short release.
yeah, but then again,
Mm-hmm.
Buzz. I don't know. He talks all the culture stuff, and it's impressive and it's good, but his style of ball is a rock fight, and it's not the prettiest
Mm-hmm.
to watch. It maybe is best suited for the Big Ten.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that's probably not a bad argument. But then now you're looking at instead of being fairly regional, you're about to go to a conference where you're going to have a Tuesday night game in Los Angeles.
Yeah, and then in $10, he will bitch about it
Oh,
at
absolutely
some
will.
point next year, just like Musk did this year. And it's like,
Mm-hmm.
dude, do you not know how to Google?
Yeah,
Do
you know
any
what you're signing up
research?
for. Yeah,
You
you're signing up
should, and
for
if
it.
you don't, you're a fool.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and speaking of Musk, we didn't hear his name once, which is unusual
Yeah.
for any jobs.
Either well, yeah, because he didn't have a very good year, obviously at SC, and he's
True.
probably floating it out
It's
there that he's
back to
happy.
back years.
Yeah.
Yeah, for now. For now.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. I mean, not I wish him ill well, but it usually,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, it didn't go as well at USC as we thought. So, coaching moves, A&M obviously no idea who they're going to get. They thought they were
Mm-hmm.
going to get Beard. Um, it's just I don't. Can you win it? Really? Can you have basketball success at A&M?
Yeah, I don't know. That's a good question. I mean, you can obviously be successful. Buzz has shown that you can win games, but being successful and having success, I think, are two different things. And you probably understand what I
Mm-hmm.
mean by that.
Yeah.
Um, you can go out and win 20 games. You can win 22 games. Can you get to an Elite Eight? Can you get to a Final Four?
Mm,
Yeah, I don't know.
yeah. Can you hang a banner?
Yeah,
Going to
and
be
I don't
hard
know
to
that you
do
can.
down there. Yeah, maybe a spring practice football banner,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
yeah. But anyway, all right. So we move off of coaching. NIL. Big news this week. Some states, Illinois, one of those,
Mm-hmm.
looking to pass a bill to not to make NIL income non-taxable. Have we lost our minds? Is this a good idea?
Well, so this is a twofold situation. So one, you're an athlete, I'm a booster. We're a company, right? I'm
Yes.
a car dealership. Blair, I'm going to give you $400,000. As
Yeah.
for me, it's a tax write off because I'm advertising, right? I'm using your name,
Yes.
image, and like. But I know
Yes.
half of that, or a third, 40% is going to taxes. And now I
Yeah.
could say, well, at least all of my money is going to go to you, so I can write it all off, which
Yeah.
they're going to anyway. But also, it's not going to teach you any life lessons. You're going to actually be able to spend all that $400,000.
Yeah.
Um, I mean,
On
to
stupid
me,
on a
all
first
the
cent.
NIL needs to be blown up. All the whole
Yeah.
system needs to be restarted. Have you tried turning it off and turning it back on again? Is what they need to do with NIL. So yeah, like why not? Why not reward the kids, reward the boosters? If they're going to give their money away freely, why not? They might as well get all of it instead of it just being taxed. So, I mean, I don't
Yeah.
care. They seem to blow it.
Yeah. I mean, it kind of occurred to me, okay, because there are some states where it's not taxed. Florida,
Mm-hmm.
Texas don't have income tax. Okay, fine. Georgia, I think, has a reduced rate. But, I mean, do these state legislators not have any better thing to do than worrying about the quarterback not having to pay tax on $400,000? I mean, it's just, I don't
You
know.
know the
It's
answer to
almost
that,
like
Blair.
I know we've lost our minds when it comes to athletics. I mean, already we've got. I guess this is soapbox, but you've got people $250 million for throwing
Mhm.
a ball.
Yeah.
It's
So,
just I don't
but
know.
your question was, do state legislators not have anything better to do? The answer, we all know the answer to that because there are so many things that should not be affected at all. And I'm not even talking about sports. I'm talking about
Yeah.
just normal things in general that they always want to go in there and fix and get their hands on.
Yes.
So, but I mean, as long as there's going to be government, there's going to be people reaching into departments and categories they know nothing about to try to make it
Yeah.
better.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like,
What we
oh, we
need
need more
though,
teachers. We need
yeah,
to pay our teachers more. Oh, but we're not going to lift the tax on them. But if you can throw a football 70 yards and hit the guy on the fly and score a touchdown,
correct, yeah.
you
All
get it all.
for raising teachers' salaries, absolutely. But if we're going to say,
Yeah.
hey, we're not going to tax athletes, then let's not tax teachers either.
Yeah. Yeah. Well said.
Mm,
All right, we'll move on. NFL football rule
mm,
changes have come out. They tabled the push tush, which makes
mm-hmm.
some think that they're going to lobby behind the scenes to get rid of it.
Yeah.
Overtime, both teams get possession now. Not
Mm-hmm.
if you score a touchdown, you win. Not quite sure how that's going to work out.
Yep.
Kickoffs go to 35. And finally, we're going to use technology to measure first downs.
Mm-hmm.
Your thoughts on all these?
All right, let's start with the tush push. It started with the league meetings, like, oh, it's got no momentum. It's just sour grapes. And all of a
Mm-hmm.
sudden, it ended up in a 16-16 vote, and it gets tabled to May. And we've already heard the commissioner come out and say, oh, it's a safety issue. We need to find a way to get it out of the game. So, AKA, it's going to pass in May. So, the tush push, we're done
Yes.
seeing that, which I'm okay with, to be honest. Because if you
Mm-hmm.
can't push your defensive players, you shouldn't be able to push the offensive players. Because it's a
True.
rule that you cannot push a defensive player, mainly for kicks, field goals, extra points, etc. But you can't push a defensive player. And so now, how do we have one set of rules for one side of the ball and not the other? That doesn't make sense.
Well, yeah. Why was it even decided that that was going to be a legal move anyway? Because it was
Yeah,
illegal
why
for
they
so long.
yeah, aiding the runner. I can raise my hand.
Yeah.
I was flagged for that as a sophomore in high school in Heavener, Oklahoma.
Oh. Oh.
Threw my quarterback into the end zone. Got a 15-yard penalty for it. The only penalty I ever had in high school, mind you,
Wow.
uh, in all 3 years. But so take it out of the game. It has no place for it. It's literally a rugby scrum. We don't need it. The
Yeah.
overtime rule, I hate. I hated it before. it literally should be an extension of the game. It should be first team to score wins. Play some defense. But people like roasted me on this podcast and others because I said that. It's like, oh, it's not fair. We're doing everything on a coin flip. No, you had 60 minutes to decide the game. You couldn't do it. So I'm annoyed about that. The kickoff thing, I mean, 35-yard line is significant. Considering like 5 years ago it was the 20. So 15 yards that we're giving because of a touchback is significant. That's going to lead to more teams saying, hey, we can pin them inside the 30. If we kick the ball to the 5, make them run it back, etc. I don't care either way. Whatever it takes to not eliminate the kickoff, I think we need to do. And they're continuing to try to do that. And the first down one, which is randomly enough probably the one I feel the most strong about, how often did we really decide, hey, we need to bring the chains out? More and more they've gotten to the point like I'm going to look at the field and not the stick and okay, you got 10 yards. Oh, it's touching the line. It's a first down. Yeah. No, let's just take Arkansas football because I think you probably watched that more than anything else. How many times did you see the chains trotted onto the field last year? All season long? 5?
Maybe. Yeah. It's pretty rare anymore.
It's not that big of a deal. Yeah. Should we use technology? Absolutely. Are they still going to have the chains on the sidelines? Because guess what? That ball carrier still needs to know where he's going to go. That ball carrier still has to know what yard line he has to get to. And so it's not that big of a deal. It's just like, hey, we have the technology. We must use it. Was this a $6 million man commercial now?
Yeah. No, they're still going to have the chains as a backup, which – I mean, if you're on chain gang, that's – you keep your job.
But you also like the team needs to know where they're going too. So you got to have the chains or a marker out there.
Yes, I agree. Yeah, it's just So it's wild.
Getting fired up about chains now, Blair.
Chains, yes. All right, all right. Hey, let's get to the mailbag. We have mail. Brian wants to know how you like your eggs.
Scrambled. No other way.
Scrambled.
Oh yeah.
I'm with you. I like mine scrambled. Though, was it huevos rancheros or where you get them sunny side up?
So I've somehow, mainly probably because I'm lazy, and sometimes when I make eggs, I get really hungry and I want to wait longer. I like soggy scrambled eggs. Does that make sense? They're still a little juicy, so you don't fry out all the liquid, but they're scrambled, but they still got a little glisten to it. That's where I'm at.
Put a little cheese in them.
Well, that too. Yeah. Whatever makes it unhealthy.
Yes, we're all about unhealthy food. All right. Our next question from Pete. What did you guys major in college?
Broadcast communications.
Okay.
The University of Central Arkansas.
Did you have a minor?
Family and consumer sciences.
Ooh. I majored in radio television at Arkansas State, and my minor was Russian history. I have no idea why.
Russian history?
Yeah. It ties in so well with wanting to be a sportscaster.
Yeah. And I'm just because I took a test today and made 100 on it. I'll say it. I'm halfway through my master's in sports management.
Awesome.
Yeah. So this time next year I'll be done.
Sweet. And will you be a doctor?
No, that's like 4 more years. I'll need that. Yeah. I will be a master of the University of Central Arkansas. Me and He-Man are going to have something in common finally.
Sweet. That is excellent. So now we move to the final thoughts. And the future master, I will allow you to give us the final words today.
UConn is finally going to win a women's basketball championship.